So if your game has a trading system and you don't know how to design the economy, here's a simple way to build a dynamic one. I created this demo here, as you can see, using Python and Tkinter to show you how it works in practice. So prices differ by location, so you need multiple towns in your game. So for the demo, as you can see, I randomly placed towns across the map, which are denoted by the letter T here. The next thing is each town needs access to natural resources, but not all towns are equal. So in this demo here, I'll just select one real quick, go to resources. So in this demo, each town gets a random value between 0 and 100 for, as you can see, minerals and trees. And so the higher the value, the easier it is for that town to gather the resource. So as you can see, Red Reach here, that's the name of the town. It has 77 trees and 86 mineral. Let's click on another one here. Wolfport has 43 trees and 82. And then Thornton has actually a pretty high tree value and a exceptionally low mineral value here. In theory, it should be really easy for them to have access to wood, and then very difficult for them to get access to ore. All right, so now if we go to the citizens tab here, each town has citizens with specific professions. Towns start with different numbers of each profession. And again, each profession gets a random value between 0 and 100. Higher numbers mean greater production potential for that profession. So as you can see, we have 75 miners, 84 wood burners, and 94 blacksmiths. So on a different town, Thornport has 44, 83, 23, 18, and 41. And I'll just show you one more here. Choose this one up here. Sunwatch has 16 miners, 29 tree cutters, 17 wood burners, 30 smelters, and only one blacksmith. So yeah, they're not gonna have an easy time creating weapons and stuff. So another thing that we have to think about is production loops. So each profession should produce an item that another profession needs. So in this demo, I kind of demonstrate a metalworks production loop where, we have the miners here who mine ore. Then we have the tree cutters here who cut down trees for wood. Then we have the wood burners who burn the wood into coal. That coal plus the ore is used by the smelters to create metal. And then the metal plus the coal is used by the blacksmith here to create metal weapons. And so one thing you may kind of notice here is that the miners and the tree cutters are more so resource dependent. So they're more dependent on the locations and natural resources. So the mine and the trees. And the kind of the wood burners, the smelters, and the blacksmiths are more item dependent. So their output depends on access to items, required items, okay? So production loops can actually connect to other production loops. So if we kind of start off with our blacksmith profession from the last production loop, as you can see here, the blacksmiths, they create metal arrows, which are used by hunters to hunt animals. And those animals can then be used to make a leather here, or the animals can also be used to process meat. And so basically from here, you can expand into two other industries. You can expand into kind of the food industry or the clothing industry right here. Now that we know what each profession produces, we need to decide when and how often production happens. So in this demo, production, as you can see, I kind of have a time / date system up here. Production in this demo happens once per day at 12 a.m. in game. And so kind of how things work, or how the production cycle works, is that, at least in terms of the miners and the tree cutters, so as you can see, we have 16 miners. If we go over to resources and look at the mineral stat, so each miner is going to have a chance to mine an ore. And based on this stat right here, each miner has a 35% chance to mine an ore. And so we have 29 tree cutters, right? So based on the tree stat, those 29 tree cutters, they each have a chance, 81% chance to cut down a tree and get a piece of wood. And then from there, based off of how many pieces of ore and how many pieces of wood are gathered. This determines what the wood burners, the smelters, and blacksmiths are able to produce. So if you want to look at the items here, as you can see, so far they have been able to produce 842 pieces of wood, about 1,000 pieces of coal. They don't have any ore, they're probably just using it immediately to create metal, and then they have a fairly good amount of weapons here at 127 weapons. So essentially with this system, towns with like low resource chances will produce very little in a single cycle compared to towns with higher resource chances. And so this kind of like timing and probability can be adjusted depending on your game's design and pace. And so let's kind of just like compare this to like some other towns here. Let's click this one. This is Stonefield. And so they basically don't have any weapons here. Let's see what's going on. They have plenty of ore and they have a little bit of metal. Oh, so they don't have any weapons here because they have a very low tree stat. And combined with a low tree stat, so they have a 7% chance. They have basically, you might as well say no tree cutters. They only have 9 tree cutters, so each of those 9 tree cutters have like a 7% chance of producing a piece of wood. So that's kind of like what's slowing everything down here. But their mineral is like 96 and they have 99 miners. So that's why they have like an overabundance in ore. So an item's price is based on availability. So the rarer it is, the higher the price. So during production, if an item is needed but not available, its price increases, but if it is available, then its price decreases. So in the demo here, we can't see it. Actually, you can see it. Let me go over here to price. And so as you can see, we have each item listed here, and the dollar value on the left is its base value, and the dollar value on the right is its new kind of like inflated or deflated value. So as you can see here, we have normally a $2 piece of wood is $144 here, whereas we have a normally $4 piece of ore is actually only worth $1 here, which makes sense because it has an overabundance in ore and basically no wood. But essentially you can calculate this right value here, this modified price, by simply doing something like base value times price modifier divided by 100. And then you take that value and just simply add it to the base value. So essentially the price modifier is adjusted up or down during a production cycle based on supply and demand. So this system really gives you just like a dynamic economy that responds to production and shortages without being overly complicated. And to be honest, that's pretty much it for this system. I personally think it's relatively simple to implement. And you can even implement this in any tech stack. And to be honest, like with, a few extra systems like trading between towns, definitely additional production loops and player interaction, you basically have like a complete trading game essentially. So that's pretty much it. I do have plans to actually turn this into like a more of a coding tutorial versus like a design video like this one. So stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.